50 years ago tonight, the television series MASH premiered on CBS. During its 11-season run, MASH received over 100 Emmy nominations. The series finale was seen by almost 122 million viewers, a record outside Super Bowls that still stands. Leading the cast was Alan Alda's Dr. Benjamin Franklin Hawkeye Pierce. In addition to being an actor, writer, and director, Alda is also a best-selling author and fierce advocate for science communication. Now 86 years old, and he says as active as ever, Alda sat down with us at Stony Brook University on Long Island.
My life has been improvisational. I'm always interested in other actors or writers or directors who talk about the plan they have for the next 5 years. What's the point of it? Because life is going to come up with its own plan.
Alan Alda's improvisational approach to life brought him to acting at a young age.
Don't try to bully me, Dad. I feel I have something to say as an artist. Take My Woman with Grapes, for instance.
It also eventually brought him unprecedented acclaim.
Finest kind. Just like Mother used to make.
For anyone born before about 1970, MASH needs no explanation. For those who may have missed it, it was set during the Korean War and told the story of the doctors, nurses, and staff of the 4077th Mobile Army Surgical Hospital.
We've all had 12 straight hours of meatball surgery in there. My brain is sending me urgent rest telegrams.
By the time the show ended in 1983, Alan Alda was a 47-year-old living legend, having become the only person ever to win Emmys for acting, directing, and writing. Writing, directing, acting, is there one thing that you preferred or prefer more?
No, they each has its own pleasure. And acting has an ecstasy to it that when it's going well, you're floating in the air.
Yeah.
It's a really terrific feeling.
Dangerous feeling, too, I guess.
Well, I guess it can be. One of the things that I got out of improvisation was the idea that if anything goes wrong, that's just a door to open.
I just like to poke around. That's how I learn, you know.
Perhaps no better example of that is the near-death experience Alda had while shooting in a remote region of Chile during his time hosting Scientific American Frontiers on PBS. Alda suffered a serious intestinal blockage and was rushed to a local hospital. Surviving the experience left him feeling reborn, and he focused his new energy on expanding the field of communication in science.
When we started working on helping scientists communicate better, I thought that the big service we would be performing was scientists to be able to communicate with the public. And it turned out that communicating with one another is just as important. It's not a curse to have knowledge, it's a curse to think that what knowledge you have is possessed by other people as well. Everybody doesn't know what you know in the detail that you know it.
How do you tell them?
You know, we don't tell people things so much. We don't give tips, we don't give hints. We put people through an experience.
How are you? In 2009, Alda established the first program in the country that teaches the Alda method at Stony Brook University in New York.
And learned about lungs.
It includes plenty of improvisation.
When she laughs, she's not laughing.
Even at 86 and trying hard to avoid COVID, he couldn't help but jump in on a recent training session we attended, the first he's been to since the pandemic began.
You make the person or the people you're talking to a communication partner, not the target of your lecture.
It's tough because people want to lecture.
But I think it has to be a more dynamic relationship.
I think you're right.
Well, you seem to do it. I don't mean to get too personal with you before I know you better. But from the time we sat down together, you were talking to me, and I saw you looking at my reaction.
Alda's scare 19 years ago wouldn't be the only medical issue he's turned into a public point of conversation.
I was diagnosed 3.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. In July 2018, he announced he had Parkinson's, accompanied by a video on Twitter showing himself juggling.
One of the reasons I came out when I did was I wanted people to know that you can still function. And it's the earlier you get into an exercise program, the better it is, because the symptoms are progressive. So I wanted to help demystify it. I mean, look, I'm as active as I've ever been. So I shake a little. I just still act.
You should really have a passcode on this.
It's my small rebellion against modern life.
He acts and podcasts.
I'm Alan Alda, and this is Clear and Vivid.
Clear and Vivid now includes more than 220 conversations.
I didn't invent stereoscopy, but I invented this viewer.
Where does the push come from to keep working that hard, to stay that involved, whether it's the podcast, whether it's acting, whether it's doing this, whatever else, at the stage in life that you're at?
Well, I don't know how else to know I'm alive. I mean, it also includes taking a break and saying, oh, this is great. I'm on vacation for the next 20 minutes. I'm not going to do anything important. I'm going to have fun with this game on the computer. When I was 16, I thought, here's the answer to life. Moderation in all things, especially moderation.
Very good. Very good. I like that. I've never heard that before.
I thought of it at 16.
Yes. I love that.
I could walk into that mess tent, order lunch, stark naked. Nobody would pay any attention to me.
Alda still keeps the boots he wore for all 11 seasons of MASH, which he gamefully agreed to bring to our interview. Do you know how much those boots are worth?
They're not worth that much, I don't think. I tried to auction them off for charity.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I couldn't get the base price, so I kept them.
Okay.
Maybe now we can see how really swell they are. I can auction them off for the Center for Communicating Science and get a fortune.
Do you still put them on?
No, I haven't put them on since the show ended.
For the most part, for the last half-century, Alan Alda has spent very little time stepping back into nostalgia. Does it feel like it's been 50 years, or does it feel like a lot less than that?
It feels like a really long time ago. It feels like it happened to somebody else. But fortunately, he lets me live in his house.
If you see a rerun on TV now, do you watch?
No, I haven't seen a whole show in years. I hear it's very good.
It was excellent. It was excellent. One of my favorites. Great job, Jeff.
50 years ago tonight.
Yeah.
He was a joy to spend time with, so we thank him and we thank Stony Brook for hosting us.
You know, he gives so much to so many charities. I had the pleasure of meeting him at one, and he is just so full of life and sharing. And so it's so great to witness your conversation.
Moderation in all things.
Moderation in all things.
Especially moderation. I love it.